Hello, beautiful ladies of the light. I am here to touch base with you. I am so excited about the DMs that I'm getting from y'all, working on the Lyme healing method and hearing about your stories. And I thought I'd go live because I've been getting asks about my story. So I thought I would tell you my story and then I'll answer any questions that you have. So I'm a nurse by training. I've always been a helper and a healer. I've always loved helping people, and I've run through marathons. My training was in nursing. I did work in pharma, and then ran clinical trials, monitored clinical trials, and then had my own company, successful consulting business, running clinical trials, and then got married, had my son, got so sick. Within 8 months of having our son, I had been to some of the best medical centers in the country. All said, in my Lyme journey, I went to 7 states, saw almost 40 doctors. There were times I couldn't move from the neck down or speak. When I added up all my symptoms at one point, there were 88 of them. To say that I was sick is an is an understatement. When I eventually, I was hospitalized for a TIA, a mini stroke. I had all these other diagnoses, celiac and POTS and issues. I had seen all the allergists, cardiac issues, a lot of neurological issues. And by the time I got to the doctor that saved my life, a Lyme doctor, he said to me, "You got to me just in time." Fast forward to 2.5 years of IV antibiotics, orals, the most aggressive antibiotic treatments, supplements by the handful, 7 times a day, hyperbaric dives, BVT, herbs, like all the diets, AIP. If there was a Lyme treatment, I did it. So then fast forward, that was 2007, I had our son. Fast forward to 2017, I did bee venom. Things went wrong for me. I think I overstung. But anyway, long story short, we had just moved to our house. And for 4 years, we had renovated, and I couldn't live here. And bee venom had I had hypersensitivity in the house, and I had to move to my parents' house, live in a spare bedroom in my parents' house. Bee venom had caused all these other issues for me. So now I was dealing with Lyme, I was dealing with bee venom issues. Mind, body, spirit, home was broken. I was losing everything. And I ended up getting stem cells, and I knew that people had gotten stem cells and they hadn't all gotten better. You know what I mean? And it's 10 years. I remember I came back from stem cells, and we had done all these things in the house to make it so I could live here. And I came back to this house, and I remember I call it my laundry room moment. I remember being in my laundry room, and down on the marble in the laundry room, and I said to God, I'll change anything here. You take over, because I knew in that moment, after 10 years and all the treatments and the best Lyme doctors and the best everything, I knew I was in total despair, but I knew that it was between me and the divine. I knew without a shadow of a doubt, that it was on me. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I was in total despair. Not that I had the answers, but what I did was then, I said, I'm willing to change anything. I started reading. The first book I read was The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, which is about stoicism and taking trials and turning them to triumph. I didn't want to read. I positively hadn't worked. All the things hadn't totally worked. I didn't want to read about anything except this guy had written about Stoic philosophy, which is basically that using perception, action, and will that people have in all kinds of hard situations, in POW camps, in prisons, in war, in all kinds of situations, in illness. They have used their difficulty for their greatness. And I totally glommed onto that, because all I had at that point in time, I felt, were trials. All I had, I felt, was obstacles. And I felt you know what? If all I have is obstacles, there's something I can do about this. That's something I can grab onto. So I just started reading and listening to the obstacles of the way and listening to things every day, and started a healing goal statement, which I didn't believe in at the time, but now I know that, even a lie repeated enough times is taken as truth. And I started going to a chapel, and I created this divine time, and I just started doing all this work to rewire thoughts and release anxiety and reconnect with myself. And all the things that I talk about here and in my custom program, my custom client program. And nothing happened at first. Absolutely nothing. I really wasn't trying to save myself at first, to be honest. I was just trying to heal from the bee venom issues. And then what happened was I started having glimmers of peace. Or I would have moments where symptoms went down. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is working. And so I kept reading, and I ended up reading books about spirituality and science and stoicism and success strategy and somatic practices, and just whatever resonated for me, because I wasn't asking anybody anymore. I had been to the best of the best. I had done all the things that I had been told to do, from diets, anything in and on my body. I had done it, and it had saved my life, but it hadn't gotten me to well. And I was reading these stories about people that had healed themselves or that had gotten through horrific things using their mind, body, spirits. And I thought to myself, if one other person can do this work, and they're divine and I'm divine, I believe we're all divine, then maybe with one cell of my being, there's a chance that I could do it too. And when I started to have glimmers of wellness, I just kept adding on to my things that I did. I would sit in chapel. I developed PMIs, my prayers, mantras, and intentions that I do now with daily divine time every day in a chapel or quiet holy space, which is repetition. It's like Dr. Dan Siegel writes about in Mindsight, the new science of personal transformation. He writes about it's not making anything bad that was in my past, but it's that we can snag, which is neuroplasticity. We can stimulate neuronal activation and growth. And that's what I was doing. I just didn't know it, by novelty, reading new books, repetition, repeating my goal statement, listening to my goal statement 50 minutes in the morning, 50 minutes at night, play it on voice loop over and over. I've calculated, I think I've almost listened to that now 100,000 times. 15 minutes more, 15 minutes, writing my goal statement out, morning and night, 15 minutes in the morning, 3 in the morning, 3 at night during my divine time. And so by the time I get to the end of a year and a half, I've read about over 200 books, and I was well. And then I started applying the things that I used. I hadn't called it the Lyme healing method yet, but I started applying these things that I used to learn to heal, and they worked in my whole life. They worked in our family business. They worked in my relationships. All of these things that I learned, that I teach, that I guide and mentor through in the Lyme healing method, they worked for my healing, and they worked in life. So what I ended up realizing was the Lyme healing method, it was what I've created, called now the Lyme healing method. It helped me gain my true power, to reclaim living and to heal, but also to peel off a lot of stuff that I no longer need, and to keep imperfectly stepping towards more and more of myself and truth. And so then what happened was I started writing about what I learned, but I made it generic. I didn't write about, I didn't write it specific to women with Lyme. And it was taking off because I was, my rising from falling. I had started the podcast. I was writing the newsletter to the subscribers. And then I got a tick bite. And I got sick again. And I was was chairing the state Lyme Disease Education Oversight Board, which was in our state, created for to teach healthcare providers in a state on Lyme. I was doing all this other work, but I got this tick bite. And after freaking out, I knew that It was divine. The obstacle is the way. As Marcus Aurelius says, the fifth of the great Roman emperors, Stoic, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And I knew that Lyme healing method, I hadn't named it yet, but I just had a sense that this was my chance, that this was my opportunity to heal using just this method. That's what I did. Now, I know that was a risk. I'm not advocating to do this. I'm just telling you what I did, because I truly in my heart believed that it worked. And I got sick. I mean, I lost vision in part of an eye. I was having palpitations. I was having numbness and tingling, memory issues, like a bunch of the things had begun. Lost the sensation in my toes, pain shooting up my neck. And so literally I started doing my Lyme healing method and keeping track of it. I started doing what I had done to heal before. And in less than 6 months, I was well. And I kept track of everything I did. And that is what created my Lyme healing method that I so gladly share with you. So if you have any questions, DM me, write on one of my Instagrams, email me, check out my links that are here, listen to my podcast, Rising from Falling, tons of free content. Most of my content is free because I truly believe that if my healing is possible, that if I can heal, rewiring thoughts and releasing, anxiety, like chronic and stored traumatic stress, and reconnecting with myself, that it's possible for you too. Your healing is truly possible. So if you want to hear more, DM me, reach out, and I believe in you.